everyone. Uh, Hello, everyone. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but thank you so much for being here today, watching and participating with us in the first ever Caroline Symmes Cookies for a Cause event brought to you by our teen board. We are so excited to have you all here today watching and joining us today. While our lives may have taken an abrupt halt given the nature of the environment we are currently in, pediatric cancer surely has not. It is so important that we have the support of people like you so we can ensure that we are continually raising awareness and funds in order to end pediatric cancer once and for all. Although this pandemic has kept us apart from one another, we recognize the importance of standing together and supporting local businesses within our own community. It was incredibly essential that our partnerships today included and benefited local community members who recognized the value of our endowment. We are so thrilled to introduce our partners for the event, Cecilia's Cookies and Socially Distant Woodworking, two great local businesses who have made it their mission to bring quality work and goods to families within the Indianapolis and Carmel areas. We also want to remind you that there will be opportunities to donate throughout the event. So now let me introduce to you our first partner for today, Socially Distant Woodworking. Socially Distant Woodworking, or SDWW, was created at the beginning of the stay-at-home orders during the COVID-19 pandemic. SDWW strives to provide youth with alternative hands-on projects to encourage creativity outside of e-learning and the classroom activities. Projects are now released monthly to our communities for free, and they are solely supported by donations. For more information, you can find them on Facebook or send them an email at info@sdww.org. Now let me introduce to you our second partner for today, Cecilia from Cecilia's Cookies.
Hello, everyone. We are going to be decorating cookies soon, but first we need to address the first issue that some people with shipping boxes might have, which is breakage on the cookies. So we're going to go ahead and try. I'm going to teach you how to glue them really quickly before we start. So if you can pick up your white icing, we're going to cut very small cut at the tip of it. And I have several cookies here that I made examples. So once you cut the cookie, once you cut the icing, make sure it comes out. You're just going to put a little bit of icing on that cookie that's broken, and you're just going to stick it together and just let it be. You can do that to any one of the cookies that you have broken, that have come broken during the packaging or the shipping. Just do this. Now, it's important not to move the cookies afterwards. So if your cookie is a wagon cookie, that probably the most breakage would be the wagon handle. I would suggest putting it on a paper plate or on a paper towel that you can move around while we're decorating, opposed to touching the cookie while we're decorating. Other than that, we will be, we have to also address the issue with the icing. So if your bags of icing have separation, which you see a little bit darker liquid on the bottom, while we are talking, while Sophie's gonna come back in here in a minute, just squeeze the bags lightly until you mix them. It's just a little bit of water. So if you mix them, you can do that to all the bags while we're talking, and then we'll be ready to decorate cookies soon. So here's Sophie again. Thank you.
At this point, while we are waiting, we would like to take a few minutes to remind ourselves why we are all here today. The Teen Board has made a video featuring some of our friends and family that have been impacted and inspired by the care provided by Riley Children's Health Hospital. Each story told today is a testament to a fight still left to be fought against childhood cancer.
Hi all, my name's Jess Cooper and I am a Caroline Symmes Endowment Teen Board member as well as a Riley Oncology kid. In March of 2019, I was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma and was treated at Riley Children's Hospital downtown, where I underwent 5 cycles of extremely aggressive chemotherapy. The doctors, nurses, and specialists at Riley helped me fight for my life, and ultimately declared me cancer-free. Now I'm on the other side, trying to help my friends still going through treatment and the kids that will ultimately go through my similar situation. The Caroline Symmes Endowment is helping kids like me and my friends be able to go on by funding life-saving research through Riley Children's Hospital. Thank you so much for supporting the endowment today, and hopefully in the future. Kids like me appreciate it more than you know.
Hello, my name is Kevin Koch, and this is my wife, Laura. And our collective journey with the Caroline Symmes Cancer Endowment began many years ago.
So I've been a pediatric oncology nurse for over 11 years and was fortunate enough to meet Caroline and the Symmes family during my time at Riley, as well as many other families over the past 11 years that have been affected by pediatric cancer.
And for me, my journey began with the inspiration from my wife and the Symmes family. I dedicated my 2019 Boston Marathon run to 26 kids for each of the 26 miles. And it was truly an experience I will never forget. And of course, we were raising money to support the endowment.
So when I think of the endowment, I think of the future of cancer. And when I think of my lifetime, I may never live in a world where there's no pediatric cancer, but I want to live in a world where we have a cure. And I know that's what the endowment will do.
Thank you for supporting the Caroline Symmes Endowment.
Together, we can make a change.
Thank you so much to Kevin, Laura, and Jess for telling your story today. We are so grateful to have such inspirational faces that recognize the value of the Caroline Symmes campaign. Your words motivate you to keep supporting our cause. Now let's welcome back Cecilia.
Hello again. Now we are about to start and have some fun decorating these cookies. So you should have your setup as Isaac and Sophie sent you guys emails. So first I want to talk about the paint a cookie. If you order one of these are pretty simple. If you are not going to paint the cookies right away, leave the color in the bag. Just open when it's time to do it. But when it's time to do it, all you have to do is get your little color out. You need very little water. I know we tend to get a whole bunch, but a little water will go a long way. And the more water you use, the more likely it is that you're going to ruin the icing on the cookie. So very little water, it goes a long way. Dip your brush in the water, choose whatever color, paint directly on the cookie, wash, and then just go right back to it. So this is as simple as, and this dries pretty instantly. As soon as the water gets into the icing, it's pretty much dry, and then you can either save the cookie for later, or you can eat it right away. So that's the paint your own cookie. So now let's talk about this cookie. All these cookies. So we are going to be doing, we're going to learn 3 techniques today. Simple ones. We're going to learn to outline the cookies. We're going to learn to flood the cookies. And we are also going to learn to write words on the cookie using a wet on wet technique. So these are basic, makes the cookies look very professional, but those are basic skills, and you can use those for any cookie decorating that you might have for any kind of decorating. So we are going to start by getting your pink bag, and we are going to work on the Caroline cookie, the little girl. So we are going to, now this is very important. So when you're cutting your bag, I want you to start very, very small when you cut that tip, and then try it on your paper plate or on your paper towel just to see. See, this one is super thin. We want it to be a little bit thicker than this to outline. Just keep trying when you do it. See, this is better, and I'll show you so you can see the difference. And what I would do is practice your straight line a couple of times. It's a steady, when you are icing cookies, it's important to hold it like this at the palm of your hands. Your pressure comes as a whole, And it's a constant pressure. It's not like squeeze and go, squeeze and go, squeeze and go. And you're moving your arm more than your hand. So we're going to start with this cookie in the middle. We'll start with the body first. This is the biggest part. So we go into the one end of it, just squeeze lightly and go all around. Just like so. Then touch the end, and that should be the first outline. Then we'll go to the same thing for the feet. We'll just go and do the outline. If for whatever reason the line breaks, you can always go back and just fill in that spot, because once we flood it, that will be covered, so it's not a big deal. So just, I like to use my other hand as a guiding hand, so it makes my other hand firmer when I do the straight lines. It depends on how you like to, how, and this is actually one of the broken cookies that we fixed. No big deal. We're gonna ice it over, and then we even make it a stronger bond once we're done. So just ice it like so. And that should be the first outline cookie. Once you are done, we still have the pink. We are going to go ahead and do the balloon. This is a little bit trickier because the balloon has a circle. So circles are a little bit trickier, but like I said, move your arm instead of the hand. So just, there's a string coming down, just kind of go with it. Just, it will go. You can direct it where it goes. I'll make another one. So once those are outlined, now we are going to get our red color. If you have the Riley wagon cookie, we're going to do the exact same thing we did to the pink. We're going to cut very small at the tip. Test, always test, especially with the bright colors. You want to make sure that you're not going to go ahead and just try and get a little pressure out. Test your straight lines beforehand. And then we are going to do the wagon. So just same thing. And the wagon is just a rectangle, straight line, following the outline of that. Let's go all the way. Like so. And like, see, I have a little misstep right there. Just go back and do it over. And that should be totally fine. Once we finish the wagons, okay, now we are going to get our black. If you have black, if you don't have black, you can use blue on your package. We're gonna just do the string on the balloon. Same thing, cut it very small. And now, like I said, with the darker colors, you want to try it to make sure first before. It's pretty hard to erase the darker colors from the cookies once you make a mistake. So for this one, you're just going to follow the shape of the, oh, and see, the cookies already kind of glued together. This one was one of the ones that we glued. It's already put together. Once everybody has that done, since we have the black open or the blue open, so what we're going to do now is the handle on the Riley wagon. So the same thing, just one straight line here on the, I actually put a little bit more pressure on the top of the handle just so there's more icing coming out, and then just all the way to the red. There you go. Just like so. Once everybody has that done, we are going to start with the kids on the wagon. So if you have the kit that has the black, you're gonna get the black, and we're gonna outline the boy and the girl head shape. If you don't have the black, I'll do the next one and I'll show you exactly what it's gonna look like. If you don't have the black, we are going to do one of the faces. We'll do since the blue is open, let's do the boy's shirt. Let's do this shirt right here. So just outline the shape of the shirt. And then let's outline the girl's shirt. We can use the pink. There you go. So once this settles a little bit, we're gonna go back to the pink one that we outlined the first time. And now we are actually going to cut this bag a little bit bigger. So we're gonna do the flooding now. So if you notice, we haven't used any tips for the icings like you usually see people using tips. You can do tipless icing, and this makes it a lot easier because you just outline with a small cut, and then you make a bigger cut, and I'll show you. So you can flood quicker. So now see, this is a much more icing coming out. So now we'll just go back to the girl and we'll flood the whole cookie with the pink, just like so. And you don't have to worry about being perfect because once we finish flooding, you're going to use your little trusty bamboo stick that I added to your bags and just do like so to spread the icing on the cookie. Just go all the way to the edges, and that's it. So we'll do the same thing for the body and the head. This part doesn't have to be perfect, guys, because you're gonna get your little tool and you're gonna just spread it around and make it perfect. So this part is very forgiving. Just spread it around. And icing will set like very shiny and flat on the top. So you just have to spread it and give it time and it will do its job. Make sure it goes to all the edges of the flooding the outline that we did. Same thing for the head and same thing for the balloon. And you want to go light on the flooding because even though we made an outline, which creates a little bit of wall so the icing won't get off the cookie, we tend to squeeze it too much and put a lot of icing and then it will flood over. I mean, it really will. So a little icing goes a long way. And if you happen to need more, you can always just squeeze a little bit more. Once it starts flooding everywhere, then it's just a mess. So a little goes a long way. Same thing for the balloon. My balloon is not perfect, guys, but so that's that for those. So I'll give you a little time so you guys can get all the cookies flooded. But once you get all that pink done, then this is just gonna sit until the end so we can finish. So We're done with those pink cookies. Now we're gonna mainly work on the Riley wagons. Don't try to be perfect. This is all about having fun. The cookies will be delicious either way. The icing is gonna be good regardless of what it looks like. So you can do your best and take your time. This is not a 5-second thing. So I'm assuming everybody's ready to go. So we're gonna do the fun part, which is the wet on wet technique, which is we're gonna work on the wagon, and this time we are going to flood red just like we did the pink, but then we're gonna go right back and write Riley on it. So you wanna have your red and your white together. So we're gonna start with the red. Same thing, we're gonna cut a little bit bigger. Not too much bigger this time because we're still going to use this to do a smiley face on one of the kids. So we're going to cut a little bit and we're going to flood these wagons. Same way we did with the pink. Little bamboo stick. See, mine is, when I do this, I don't have the icing all over. I just kind of swirl it like this and kind of spread it, and it becomes nice and flat. Like I said, icing is very forgiving if you just work it, and then just let it be, and it will settle to a perfect flat surface, shiny surface. Now, the wet on wet technique, it's exactly what it says. It's wet icing with wet icing. So we are going to write the Riley now. We did open the white to do the gluing. So make sure that you have, for the white, you really want, since you're writing, we don't want it to be really big. So we wanted a small little hole on the top of on the tip of this bag. Steady hands. We're gonna do the top line on the wagon. Gonna do the bottom line on the wagon, and don't worry about it. Just go from side to side. I'll do both cookies here, so I give you guys some time. And if that happened like I did mine, let's skip a little bit, just go back, and it's fixed. So give you guys a little bit of time so you can get your bags cut off, and you can get your lines done. And this icing with the wet on wet technique, the good thing about it is that it's going to dry flat. There won't be an extra layer. The white is going to go into the red, so it's going to be just a flat cookie at the bottom. That's the good thing about the wet on wet technique. And you can do this with anything, really. I mean, if you want to do a Christmas tree, for instance, and you want to do all the ornaments in the wet and wet, you can do the flooding green and then just add a bunch of little details. It's really good technique to use to writing on cookies because it's very forgiving. So once we are done, I'm assuming we can go ahead and start writing. So we're going to do the R and spell it all out like These squeezes are so light because you don't need a whole lot of icing. And if you need to do in steps, like the E, you do one straight line, then you go one curve until you get to the edge of that, and then you finish it up. You can do it in 3 steps, so you don't have to try to do it all at once. Makes it a lot easier than trying to do the letter all at once. Same thing for the Y. You can do the short leg here first, and then you're going to extend the long leg of the Y a little bit over that white line on the bottom. Okay, so we'll do the same thing for the other one. I'll do it. Just ever so lightly on the squeezing. And that's how you write on cookies. It's not, it looks complicated, but it's not. So I'll give you guys a little bit of time because I know it takes a little to get the hang of writing with the small things. But remember, the main thing is a very small, slight pressure to write letters. You don't want a whole lot of icing coming out, otherwise you won't be able to see the final letters really well. So once we got the letters written down, now we're going to finish the kids. So we are going to start with the no black set. So we're going to fill the shirt. We're going to flood the blue shirt. We're also going to flood the pink shirt. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other cookie, but we're going to start with the black on that other cookie. So if you have black on yours, then we are going to draw another line like this to shape the face. We're going to let that dry a little bit. And then if you are on the no black kit, you're going to get one of the orangey colors, like a peachy color, and we're going to do the face of the little boy. So you're going to cut your icing like so, and we're just going to do a circle. Just an outline. I'm going to leave it there. And then you should have a lighter ivory or white. We can do the little girl's face. Same stuff. Just cut it very small, and we're just going to outline this face here. Too small. A little bit bigger. So there you go. So we're going to let this set a little bit. We're going to go back to this cookie. And if you have the black, we're going to flood all this face. The round face and the hair for the little girl. I'll let that set for a little bit. We can go back and flood. I'll give you guys a little bit of time. Just make sure that you got enough time to do it. I'm not hurrying you. If you are on the without black cookie, we can go ahead and flood the faces just like we flood all the other stuff. Just we're gonna do a little bit wet on that one too. So flood this. And since we don't have black, we're gonna do the wet on white technique. We're gonna do the smiley faces. We're gonna get the red and just do a smile for the little boy and a smile for the little girl. We're gonna get our blue. And we're gonna do 2 dots for the eyes. And then we'll go back now to the, while you guys are working on this cookie, I'm gonna go work on this cookie for the other group of people. So now we're gonna flood the faces. We're gonna flood the faces with the peach color for the little boy on this cookie. Flood the ivory for the little girl on this cookie. Ooh, see, if that happens, that's fine, because you can always use your little stick and get it out of the way. So if that happened to you guys, it's not a big deal. You can always fix it. I said it's very forgiving. Once you get done flooding, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to do the face for the boy and the little girl. The eyes. But when we go back to this cookie, you don't have black, so we are going to, we're going to get creative. The girl can have pink hair, the girl can have orange hair, the girl can have red hair. You can just pick whatever color you want to use for the hair. I'm going to do this peach color. But get creative and send those pictures and we'll see which ones look the coolest. Just do the outline of the hair for the little girl. And for this cookie, for the black cookie, we can go ahead and flood the shirt for the little girl with pink. And we can do the same thing for the little boy with blue. Use your little, when you're flooding small spaces like this, I find it best to just squeeze the icing in the middle and then spread it out with your stick to the edges, opposed to trying to get to the edges. If you use too much pressure, too little pressure, then you go over the line and then it's a mess. You don't want to get onto the sugar cookie. So try to just get in the middle and then ever so lightly just kind of get to the edges with your stick, because that makes it easier. Less mistakes that way. Let's get the pink again, and let's do the bow on the little girl's hair. Let's just do triangles. And we are almost done, guys. We just have to finish the hair and put some wheels on this wagon and just do the bow on the pink cookie that we first started. So, and this one should be getting a nice crust, which will keep the color from bleeding into the cookie. That's another thing. Wet on wet works, but depending on the colors that you use, if you have a very light bottom and then you use a very dark color, it tends to bleed. So you want to, that's not a good wet on wet technique. So you don't want to have a white cookie and write with black. That would be bad. I mean, it can work, but you would have to have a very, very thick black icing so it wouldn't flood into your white. So just an FYI, if you decide to do this and you're like, oh no, Cecilia, you told me wrong. Black on white is not very forgiving when it comes to cookies. So we can flood now the hair of the little girl on this one, just whatever color you chose. If she has pink hair, red hair, whatever color you picked, just flood that color in, and we'll do the wheels. So on this one, now this, you are gonna go over the red because the circle, it's over, so that's okay. The icing has already crusted a little bit, so it should be totally fine. Just finish one round, do the second round, and then we'll do the inside, just like so. Let it sit for a minute so it stands, and then let's do blue wheels on this wagon so that it shows. So we'll do the same thing. You can use whatever color you think your wheel should look like. If you want to do pink, if you want to do white, if you want to do whatever color you want to do, red, it's up to you. Get creative. Let that set for a little bit. We'll go back in and we'll fill in with the black. Just squeeze it, and the outline should hold the icing in. There you go. Do the same thing for the blue. When you are outlining, if you want very like strict lines, harsh lines, you can let the outline dry completely before you flood. Gives a total different look to the cookie. What we're doing, if you look at the wheels, the flooding blends into the outline, so it kind of looks like one thing. But if you notice on the pink one, there you can see a little bit of the outline because we let it crust. So those are two different looks depending on what you're looking for. Now, it's less likely for your cookies to flood, for the flood to come out, if you let the outline crust. If you let it crust, it will protect your flooding, it will contain your flooding a lot more than if you didn't. Then the last part, you're going to get your white. Well, we have one more, but you get the white, and then you just fill in the inside of the wheel. And this one, just kind of squeeze it in, and the edges of the color that you did is going to hold the white in. So this one is, you don't really have to be that careful, just kind of, it will expand where it needs to. Riley cookies should be ready now. If you have your wheels filled in. I'll give you guys a little bit of time to get that done. And then lastly, if you have the black, we're going to do the bow in black. If you don't have black, we can do red, we can do white, we can do blue, whatever color you want to do. Get creative. We love to see those cookies, see what kind of combinations of cookies you did. We would love to see that. So make sure you tag us. And you are just going to, there's a little bow part here that I cut it out on the cookie. So just 2 triangles like this. And pull a little. Fill it in, and this one's going to make it bigger like this. Now for the fun part, while you guys are finishing up. You can eat them like this if you want, but it'll be very messy. After all the work that you put through, you can bite right through the wet icing and eat the cookies. But if you want to wait and eat the cookies like they should be eaten, you need to leave the cookies alone for about 6 hours. You'll be able to tell that they are crusted and almost dry when the shine, right now you can see a lot of shine on the cookies, they're very wet. As they dry, the shine is gonna go away. So in 6 hours, they will be dry. I would say overnight, they'll be completely dry. So if you can wait, I would suggest waiting so you can actually handle them without getting a big mess everywhere. But this is it. As you can see, 3 easy things: outlining, flooding, wet on wet technique. You can do this. You can cut shapes anyway, decorate them anyway. For kids, it's great. This is great basic skills to build on when you're trying cookie decorating. So drying time, we discussed. If you have leftover icing or your cookies, if you have leftover icing you don't want to get rid of, you can always put them in the freezer inside a Ziploc bag, and it will freeze and be fine for 3 months. When you want to use it, just get it out the night before. Do the whole separation thing. Just make sure that you squeeze it to ensure that there's no separation, and then you can use them and then put them back in the freezer if that's the case. Or if you're not going to use them anymore, you can just toss them. And storage of the cookies. I know that some of you got a lot of cookies. So if you're not going to eat all at one sitting, you can put them in a Ziploc bag, airtight them, and you can freeze them. Make sure you freeze them flat so they don't break. And then when you're ready to eat them, you can take one at a time or however many you want. leave them on the counter overnight, and they should be perfectly fine the next day. Okay? So I would like to take the opportunity to thank everybody that helped us here today, especially Libby and Isaac and Sophie, all the volunteers that helped us, and of course, mostly you guys for supporting this great cause. It's a fun activity, and we love to do this with everyone. So enjoy the cookies, support the cause, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much. Here's Sophie again.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. We are so overwhelmed with joy that we were able to come together to raise awareness, as well as over $3,600 that will go towards finding a cure for pediatric cancer. At any point, if you missed a bow or if you missed filling in a cookie, you're more than welcome to go back as the slide is being recorded. This is truly a grassroots effort. Remember, there is still time left to donate, and if you like the sweatshirts and other merchandise you saw today, be sure to follow the link located at the bottom of the screen, such as these masks. And before you devour these delicious cookies, make sure to snap a picture of them, post them to @CSCE Riley, and tag our kitchen, your table, in order to win one of these masks. In the top 5 pictures, we'll be able to win one of these. And that will be chosen on Monday. So we hope you had so much fun today. We cannot thank you enough for supporting us and being here with us today. And yeah, we hope you stay updated on future events, and we'll see you soon.